So, Melinda, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and I'm glad we get a chance to have this conversation because there's so many people that really don't know what PR is, and I really wanted to bring you on the show to introduce people one to the world of PR, right? And then also kind of get your story and your journey on how you started in PR, how you started your business. So, I think it's fascinating that you started from a small town in North Carolina and you became this PR powerhouse. So, just share what motivates you to take that leap into an unknown career in PR and entertainment in Los Angeles. Let us know what that was like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really funny. I always tell people it started very randomly. So I wanted
Hmm.
to go to film school, and my parents, being small town Southern conservative Christian people, were like, "We don't know what that is.
Exactly.
Girls don't do that. You can't. No." So I was like, "Okay, all right. I'll go to school to be a teacher." So
Hmm.
my freshman year in college, I was a cheerleader, and a lot of the cheerleaders were communications majors. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's like as close as I could get to film school because there are production classes and things like that. So I changed my major to
Hmm.
communications, and that was the same time that the show was on MTV, The Hills, and some of those
Oh
girls
yeah.
worked in PR. And
Hmm.
I was like, wait, that's what I want to do. And it wasn't necessarily because of the show. It was mostly I had a face to a name kind of thing. Like I realized, oh, that's the thing I felt like I should do. I just didn't know what to
Yeah.
call it or whatever. So I kind of got in my head that after graduation I would move to Los Angeles. And so I did. My parents didn't want me to go, and I was like, bye. And I moved to LA with $500 in 2009, no job, in the recession. Just loaded up my car and drove across the country.
Listen, that was a bold move to move with no job, just $500. Didn't really know what you was gonna do. Tell me what were some of the challenges you think you faced during those early days, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I think for me, it was really hard being from somewhere and not having any connections at all.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
no one from my university had ever really moved to LA or to work in that field. So I didn't have that aspect that a lot of people might have. I didn't have that support.
Hmm.
And just going somewhere and I'm trying to get a job against girls who maybe their dad was a vice president at
Yeah.
Universal, or they knew a lot of people that were really well connected. They didn't know who I
Hmm.
was or what random school in North Carolina I was from. They knew these girls that went to USC and were in a sorority and whatever else. So that was really hard.
Yeah.
But I just made it work. I say I collect people everywhere I go, and I was just
Mm.
networking my tail off.
Listen, it's such a fascinating thing because you think of Ellie at that time and how PR was back then. It was very much so people driven and paper driven. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't social media wasn't around,
No,
right? For
no.
you to connect. So it wasn't that easy to
We
connect.
had
And
MySpace
so
and Facebook.
exactly. And it was just more so for friends, right? It wasn't really for like connections and
Yes.
networking. And so you were able to go there and kind of, like bootstrap, like guerrilla type marketing type of thing and really make a name for yourself because you worked on the Grammys and the Emmys and just a lot of award winning campaigns. So how did that happen for you? What was your first big break? And you said to yourself, okay, I'm actually in the door now.
Yeah. So I knew that I was coming in at a deficit. And so I
Hmm.
did three unpaid internships at once and did like a million part-time jobs just to be able to survive. I don't know how I
Yeah.
did it, but I knew that I needed to just get in the door. And
Yeah.
so it took about a year and a half for me to get hired on somewhere full time.
Hmm.
And then I was like, okay, I can just chill. I can just run with this. And
Hmm.
I ended up working there for 5 years, 6 years, and um, that's where we got to work on some Grammy campaigns, and then one ended up winning. And we were in a very unique position because my boss had worked at big record labels before. She had been
Yeah.
in those PR departments at those labels. So we had a lot of the like throwback clients, like the Commodores and things like that.
Yeah.
So that was really fun for me. And she was older, and so sometimes I'm like, I'm just this 25-year-old girl. Like, what am I doing? But I learned so much. And then I think I also learned what not to do a lot of the times, because some
Yeah.
of her practices were maybe a little outdated. So we learned together. And it was just a unique role. I got to teach myself a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, we would work with other firms that maybe didn't have an LA office. And so they would send their clients out. And so then I would get to take them to a red carpet or an award show and things like that. Or if they needed a little extra help, I got to do that. So that just gave me even more experience.
Yeah, I think that's cool too because, back then I think, which I don't really know if it's prevalent today, where internship was like a big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going in and saying, "Hey, I'm going to work for free," because I started my career in PR also, and I lived in New York, and so I was in entertainment too, and I went in and just was like, you know what? To get in the door, we have to get in and work for free. Where today, I feel like a lot of people don't take that approach because of
No.
social media. People think they can be whatever they want to be now, which they can because of
Yeah.
social media. Opportunities are much more wider. But back then, it was very much so about relationships. It was very much so about getting your foot in the door and working on these different campaigns and really proving yourself. And you had a really great career out of that. I kind of explain to our audience because I feel like a lot of people don't understand what PR is and why it's needed in your business or as a thought leader in your industry. So give us the definition of what PR is and tell my audience why it's important.
Yeah. No one ever knows what PR is. They always
Yeah.
think I'm a publisher. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't publish. So this is the example I'll say. I don't publish the book. I
Yeah.
promote the book that's published. So,
Yes.
so really, if you break it down, it's public relations. How are you as a brand relating to the public? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Really what I do, my nephews are 10 and 7, and they know that Sissy, they call me Sissy. Sissy gets people on TV. That's what I
Yes.
do. So it's a publicist is really going to take your brand and elevate it and help you get more exposure. So that could be interviews, podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
op-eds, sometimes speaking engagements, sometimes a little bit of cross promotion, some brand partnerships, influencer relations, that kind of stuff. So it's different in marketing, that it's not really like collateral and like
Mm-hmm.
advertising or anything like that. It's truly just, okay, how can we make you a little bit more visible to the public?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's why it's important because before you could buy that blue check, right, on social media, you really had to have like media outside of those platforms to have been on different TV shows or speaking engagements to actually earn that blue check, which is what people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand the value still of having a publicist on your corner that can really help navigate that wider visibility versus just on the social platform. Because I feel like today people just think, oh, I'm on social media, I'm exposed, everybody know me. When it's like, no, there's a bigger realm to this
Yeah.
outside of social media.
Yeah, I tell my clients all the time, you can have a ton of followers on social, but that's still a vacuum. That's still a vacuum.
Yes.
And if they're not following you, they're not seeing it. So that's why we have to get you the interviews. That's why we have to get you on podcasts and op-eds and other things that are a little more organic. I am very, very big on relationships. As you can probably
Yeah.
tell, I mean, I collect people everywhere I go. I always say it, but even with my clients, it's like, okay, how can we create relationships between you and somebody
Mm-hmm.
else? Because that's what is going to take you to the next level. People
Yes.
care about authenticity, especially with social media the way that it is right now. Because
Mm-hmm.
I can see through that stuff. You can see through that stuff. We can
Yeah.
look at somebody's Instagram and say, okay, they bought their followers. Their engagement is
Mm-hmm.
way too low
Yep.
considering they have that many followers, you know?
Yep. 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 And it's so easy to see that. And the importance of it, which is like I said, is that people don't understand it is so needed. So give us some example because we feel like you describe your style of PR as unique and kind of untraditional. So give us some strategies that you've implemented for some of your clients that had a significant impact on helping them
Yeah.
get more visibility.
Yeah. So a traditional publicist is going to do what I say, send a press release and hope it works. They're just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're checking a box. We sent a press
Yeah.
release. And
Yeah.
I know so many publicists locally, nationally, across the board that just do that. And that feels so gross to me. Like, I'll
Mhm.
send a press release if I need to, press release if
Yeah.
needed, whenever it's like a formal announcement of some sort or like some kind of financial transaction, whatever. But otherwise, let's just tell the story. And that's what I do.
Mhm.
I really care about, let's tell the story. Um, I'll sit down with a client when I first onboard them and I'm like, let's just talk about some stuff. Let's figure out some unique angles. Um,
Yeah.
and then a lot of times we'll uncover all kinds of stuff that we can then run with. Are they a veteran? Are they a mom? Did they have some kind of like crazy experience in their childhood that has really set the path to where they're at today? That's the stuff I want to tell because that's what people relate to. Again, public
Yes.
relations. That's how I um handle it. I'm just like, okay, how can we get people to relate to you?
Yes. Yes, it's about people relating to your story, and that's how you grow real visibility. So in 2016, you took the leap into entrepreneurship, right? Another bold move, returning to North Carolina, founding your company, MJPR. What inspired you by going through your career? You decided to say, hey, you know what? I think I want to move into the entrepreneurship space and create my own opportunities here.
Yeah. So leaving California was a very hard decision.
Hmm.
Especially because being from small town North Carolina, everyone, I felt like I had to prove something to everybody. But there's nothing wrong with being somewhere for 7 years. I think that's a
Yeah.
long time. But
Hmm.
still, a lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm sorry it didn't work for you." I'm like, "What didn't work? What didn't work?" I came home
I was
with a
there seven
Grammy.
years.
Like
Exactly.
I've been to every award show. I have a Grammy. I have more Grammy nominations. Like,
Who
what
said it
didn't
didn't
work?
work?
Yeah. So I moved home because I was just so burned out. I had
Yeah.
changed jobs. I was at my dream PR firm. It's the PR firm I always wanted to work at. And it was the
Hmm.
most like disheartening experience in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And that firm no longer exists and that the person I was working on under no longer works there. And it was an issue that was a lot larger than me. And it's that
Hmm.
toxicity of firms. So I moved home and I was like, I'm turning 30. I want to be closer to my family. I,
Hmm.
I just need to get out of here. So I
Yeah.
moved back here and I worked at an advertising agency for a little while. And I was a PR and social media director. And again, I was like, I'm seeing everything I hate about agency life. I don't want to
Hmm.
feel chained to a desk. I don't want to literally be in the drive-through car wash with my seat pushed all the way back on my laptop. I've done that
Yeah.
before because I
Yeah.
didn't feel like I could even take 10 minutes. I didn't want that
Hmm.
anxiety anymore. And both instances, I got to a place of burnout where I couldn't even keep food down. I couldn't sleep. It was just my body was falling apart and it was telling me you have to get out of the situation. So
Yeah.
that happened in LA. Then it happened at the firm that I worked at briefly here in North Carolina. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to choose myself. And
Hmm.
I know by choosing myself, I am going to be able to provide a better service for my clients. Because if it's just me and a client, we can do whatever we need. There's no red tape. I don't have to get approval from somebody. I don't have to, have 5 signatures on something before it leaves the building.
Yeah.
I can really use my intuition and do what I know is right. And the second I put in my 2 weeks notice and posted on Facebook, I'm going to be doing my own thing. I already signed enough clients that paid all my bills and my rent that week.
Listen, first of all, I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs on this show, and they may have got a couple of clients, but you got enough to pay your rent and your bills
Yep.
the first week
First
by making
week.
the announcement.
Yeah, and it was two clients and one was like maybe like a
Wow.
$500 client and the other one was
Yeah.
enough that it covered my rent and everything. And my parents were worried again, they're parents and they're
Yeah.
entrepreneurs so they're like scared and I'm like y'all just trust me. And 5 years later, here I am and there's maybe been 1 or 2 months where I've had to move money out of the savings, but it
Yeah.
always comes back. And I think it's proof that when you're doing what you know you are meant to do and you trust
Yeah.
yourself and you trust God and you trust the universe, it
Hmm.
and you get yourself out of a situation that you don't need to be in, you're going to be rewarded.
Oh yeah, I like that. Speaking of like your background in terms like you have parents who are entrepreneurs, was it always in your mind that eventually one day you'll have your own business? Probably didn't know what it was during that time, but did you ever always think that because you grew up? I think it's so interesting where people who grew up with entrepreneurs as parents versus those who didn't. and to see the mindset. So did you always think that eventually one day I probably would be in the entrepreneur, be in that space, be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, and it's something that I normally say when I'm talking to people, and I left it out this time. But when I was doing those initial interviews in LA trying to get a job,
Hmm.
they would say, "Where do you want to be in 10 years?" And I always said, "I want to have my own PR firm." And 10
Yeah.
years to the day is when I quit my job at my last agency and started MJPR. So I'm like,
Wow.
I didn't even realize that it's like I manifested it. But yeah, so it's funny because my dad worked in finance and he
Hmm.
worked his way up, same company since he graduated college until he retired. He worked his way up to CEO, and he always had these side hustle things that,
Mm.
could generate money. So if it was a house that he flipped on the weekends or a storage rental business and things like that. Then when I was in kindergarten, my mom wanted a job that she could only work during the school year. And my dad
Yeah,
was like, "We can do taxes." So then they opened up a tax
that's
office.
true.
And when she ended up selling them 10 years ago, she ended with like 20 tax offices. So she grew that.
Wow.
So I always watched my mom hustling but then still being there for us. And then my dad, working in finance and his 9 to 5, but always being there but then having all the side hustles. So I
Yeah,
always knew, oh, they can do it, I can do it. It's nothing. Me and my brother were
exactly.
working in the tax office when my mom always says when we were big enough to have our ABCs, know our ABCs, and could read, she had us alphabetizing tax returns and stuff. So it's something I've always been around. And so I think I am lucky that it wasn't scary to take that leap because I'm like, no, I know I
Yeah.
can do it. And then if
Yeah.
something happens, I can always go work for them at the restaurant, or I can always go, help my
Yeah.
dad do something. We'll figure out something. So I definitely had a
Yeah.
safety net, I think, that other people
Hmm.
maybe wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I'm very fortunate, especially to have been raised by a mom who owned her own business and was just hustling and I mean she's a
Hmm.
firecracker, and I got that 100%.
Yeah. And that's what I mean by the mindset is so different because you already know you could do it. You know what I mean? Where some people, when we don't grow up with parents as entrepreneurs, we see parents who worked all their lives and retired from a job when you think that's what you're supposed to do. And when you want to take that leap in entrepreneurship, it's a little scary for you because it's unknown to you. It's not something you normally see versus in your family. That is,
Yeah.
you'll see outside influences and stuff like that, but still it's a scary thing to do. And a lot of times some leaps are intentional, then some leaps are unintentional. Maybe someone may lost a job, divorce, and things of that nature. So I think it's always interesting when I ask that question because I always want to know where that mindset comes from, where it's like, yeah, I could do this, I'm
Yeah,
doing
and
it.
it's funny because like I grew up in Eastern North Carolina. My grandpa's a tobacco farmer, and my other grandpa worked at the milk plant or the milk. He
Hmm.
was a milkman, and
Yeah.
both my grandmas were lunch ladies. And so the fact that
Yeah.
my parents were like, "No, we can be entrepreneurs. We can do this."
Hmm. Hmm.
It had to be terrifying for them because they're both of their parents were older, and so they came from the Depression era and being farmers and things like that. So I'm sure that was scary for my parents, but then it's completely gone for me because I'm like, who cares? Let's go. Let's do this.
Let's make it happen. Let's just
Yeah,
fly. I
yeah,
love
and
that
it's
attitude.
it's funny because my grandpa's 97. He's my
Mm.
only remaining grandparent, and he'll be like, "What's your job again?" I'm like, "Papa, I get people on TV." And he's like, "Okay." And I'm like, he's like always worried I don't have money or something. I'm like, "I am fine." Just because I'm
That is
not
so
farming, I
funny.
am fine.
I'm okay. I'm doing okay for myself.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. So you mainly work with entrepreneurs. And what do you see? Because I know, like I said, a lot of people don't really know what PR. What are some of the common mistakes you see them make when it comes to their own PR efforts, if they make any at all, actually, if they have any efforts towards PR?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think it's usually the messaging. They don't
Yeah.
have their messaging distilled down, and that's where somebody like me can come in and be like, "No, actually, that's all over the place. That doesn't make any sense." Um, I had a former client who would say, if it says there's something for everyone, that means there's nothing for nobody. You have to
Mm.
really like figure out, okay, who was my audience? Who do I need to
Yeah.
talk to? Everybody can't be your audience all the time because that's just not how it works. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so figuring out who their audience is, what their messaging is, that's a big hurdle for a lot of people. Also,
Mm-hmm.
when they're trying to do their own PR, just figuring out who the right person is to reach out to.
Yeah.
You know, they maybe don't know you're supposed to reach out to an editor or a producer instead of just the journalist. A lot of times the journalist isn't the one that makes the decisions. So it's like
Hmm.
finding that person who is realistically going to make the decision and say yes or no about a story. That's a big hurdle.
Yeah. Do you see some entrepreneurs who think that, well, social media is kind of like my PR machine? Do they have that mindset? Because I know some people think that way.
Yes. Yes. And I'm like, okay, well, your social media isn't even that good half the time. So, or it's just all over the place and you're going to
Yeah.
confuse your client or your customer or whatever. It has to be consistent.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, it's important to define that audience because too often, it doesn't matter what business you're in, because even in podcasts, a lot of times we launch podcasts thinking that, oh, it's for everybody and every woman that wants to, do this. And we're saying, and sometimes I'm like, no, you got to define it down to the exact person, their age, what they do, who they are, what they like, what they dislike. Everything is not for everybody. And sometimes entrepreneurs come out thinking, oh, my product is for everyone who is dealing with whatever. And you're like, it can't be for everybody. That's just, like I said, it's just not how it works. And being able to narrow that down in the PR efforts, I think is exciting because it does begin to really help you get you an opportunity to be directly connected with the people who will purchase, buy, follow, and help you build that brand across all these channels. I think it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, absolutely. Like an example, so I'll take people through a branding exercise. And so I'll do a lot of speaking engagements and just walk
Mm-hmm.
people through a branding exercise and figuring out who their audience is. And so I was doing this with my mom and my sister-in-law just in the kitchen one day, and we have a restaurant. And I was like, let's do it with the restaurant. Okay, let's just talk about it. So
Yeah.
um, who is the target audience? And they're like, well, everybody. Everybody needs to eat. And I'm like, but everybody doesn't eat meat. Everybody
Yeah.
doesn't have disposable income. Everybody doesn't have, the time. Everybody doesn't
Mm-hmm.
live here. So you really have to think, okay, let's distill it down a little bit more. Like it's not always going to be it's for everybody. I promise you,
Mm-hmm.
you can find somebody it's not for.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tons of people it's not for. You said that you mentioned that you encounter the good and the bad and the ugly aspect of the entrepreneur's journey. Can you kind of explain to us what that means?
Yeah. Well, the good is when, you quit your
Mm.
job and you post on Facebook and people want to work with you.
Yes.
So that's fun, and I mean I love what I do. I think it's what I'm meant to do in this world.
Yeah.
Just helping people grow their business in this way. But the ugly can be, having some of those bad egg clients who,
Mhm.
when you're in scarcity mindset and you just want to take them on because you're afraid you're not going to have any money, and they
Yeah.
are the actual worst human beings on the planet and they don't want to pay you anything. I promise
Yeah.
you, it's normally the people who pay the least are the worst clients.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
um,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that, and I think there's also been a lot of times where I've felt like I needed to be loyal to somebody, and that's completely burned me.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that happens just in everyday life. Um, and then just normal things like, oh God, I got to pay my estimated taxes, or
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
boring business stuff
Yeah.
that I maybe didn't see my parents do all the time. Um,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, oh my God, wait, this is a thing I have to do. I don't want to do that. That's adulting. I just want to have fun. I just want to, get
Yeah.
people on TV.
Yeah.
Um,
So, PR is such a fast-paced industry. And as you said before, working for other companies, you just kind of got burned out and you didn't got tired of that agency life. How do you now manage like burnout or stress in your own business just to make sure you make time for your own mental health?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a really hard time delegating. So
Hmm.
I'll have virtual assistants, I have interns and freelancers and all that stuff, but I am so bad about delegating. And
Yeah.
when I am about to reach that breaking point, I'm like, there's a lot of things I could delegate to somebody right now. Like
Hmm.
it's okay if I have a cleaning lady come to my house and clean because I
Perfect.
don't have the
Perfect.
capacity.
Yes.
And
Yes, it's perfect.
yeah. And so that's some of the ways that I really I tell myself it's okay to spend money on things that are going to help you.
Hmm.
It's okay if I have her come in and clean my house. It's okay if I have a virtual assistant do some research for me because at this point in life, 15 years in PR, I don't need to be doing all that entry level stuff. I could have an
Mm-hmm.
intern do it and they're going to learn and I could be a mentor to them, but that's going to save me a
Yeah.
lot of time. Um,
Yeah.
Another thing that I do every single day is my non-negotiable, no matter what, is journaling. Even if I
Mm,
write, I don't want to write today, I just do that brain dump and then I'm able to go into my work and I'm not spiraling out about things because I do suffer from anxiety. I do have depression. And so that helps me get a clear mind.
mm-hmm.
And then I can get going. I also try to get my 10,000 steps in every day. So movement is so
Yeah.
important. Um, if I'm just realizing I've been sitting here for hours and I haven't moved, I'll go do a lap around my apartment complex, or I'll go do a lap around the
Mm-hmm.
block if I'm at my co-working space. I even just got one of those walking pads at my apartment, and so I'll just like walk on that for 10 minutes and then
Mm-hmm.
start working again.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to do those little things that will help you relieve stuff. Because even for me, now that I'm doing this full time, I still set myself a schedule to take lunch breaks, right? Because I'm
Yeah,
like, if not, I can find myself working completely throughout the entire day. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I got to stop. I got to cook dinner. I got to pick up kids. So it's like, I have to still kind of time block because that allows me an opportunity to say, at a certain time, I have to stop working. Because
absolutely.
I will work until midnight if it's left up to me because I feel like there's always something I need to do, and so I had to really implement that. When no, you're gonna stop at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. That's the latest you're gonna do it. You got people to pick up. You know what I mean? You got stuff to do.
Absolutely.
You can't work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll just burn out and it'll just become overwhelming.
Yeah, and one thing my dad told me, again, my dad's like hard ass finance guy,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. He told me a long time ago, my 50% is a lot of people's 100%. And it is
Mm,
okay if I am not at my desk from 9 to 5, because
yep.
when I am working, if it's 3 hours of just head down working, I'm going to accomplish a lot more than a lot of other people would. So I have to
Yeah.
just remind myself that, hey, I can get a ton done in just a few hours and it is okay. I don't
Yep.
I don't have those parameters of 9 to 5 anymore. I don't have to do that. I have that luxury. I work for myself. If
Yes.
I'm at the gym, I can check my email on my phone and it's fine.
Yep.
Again, we're not curing cancer. It's what I always say. We're not curing cancer. We're having
Yeah.
fun. We're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what it is, being able to enjoy what you do and not get burnt out over it or look at it as something that's too stressful. That's why mental health is just so important, for us to manage that and put it first. I always do at all times because I can easily get burnt out by doing all these interviews and all the stuff that comes with it, but I have to manage myself and manage my time wisely to know that it's okay to stop. Because
Absolutely.
sometimes we get in that mindset to feel like if we're not working, we're not progressing. You know what I mean? We're not really moving forward when that's not true. Like your father said to you, it's like I can hunker down for 3 hours and put that in, and I made more progress than anybody who's working 9 to 5.
Yep. Yep.
It's true.
And you need to give things time to breathe. You know, I
Yes.
realize
Mm-hmm.
so much of what I do, I'm waiting on other people to get back to me all day long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sitting here staring at a computer is not going to make them respond any quicker. I can go live my life. I can go do my stuff. Then when they respond, I'll handle it.
Yeah. Exactly. How do you get a majority of your clients? Is it more word of mouth? Is it more because one thing I noticed, PR people don't advertise.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that's just not something they do. It's really more relationship building. I guess word of mouth is really kind of the main way where most PR people will get their clients.
Yeah. Mine is 90% referrals.
Yeah.
It's very rare that I've pitched a client, and I almost feel
Mm-hmm.
like when I do pitch it, when I try, it just feels disingenuous to me. And those are
Yeah.
the emails that never get responded to. And,
Yeah.
but then, someone might have come to one of my events and they're like, wait, I want to talk to you about PR, or my cousin needs PR, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a lot of that, a lot of referrals, a lot of word of mouth. It's very rare that I even attempt to pitch anybody. And
Yeah.
usually, like, I'm very lucky. There's normally somebody else in the pipeline, or
Yeah.
clients will come back. They maybe stop because their project has ended or they just don't have a budget, but nine
Mm-hmm.
times out of 10, they'll come back. So I'm very fortunate about that. But yeah, PR people generally don't advertise. We don't normally have to. And
Yeah.
I think we're just too close to what we do. It's hard for us to see our own brand enough to try to like do anything. I don't know. Like if you look at
Yeah.
my personal Instagram, it's a completely different show than
Yeah.
my MJPR Instagram. I forget to post on that thing. I feel weird posting on it. I'm like, nobody cares what I've done. nobody cares what media outlet I got this client in. Like, nobody cares about that. That's boring. I don't want to see it. They don't want to see it. But then my personal
Mm-hmm.
was like, here's this trip that I went on. Like, here's my dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the kind of stuff people really like looking at too.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's thinking about a career in PR, like dreaming of being a career in PR, maybe especially in entertainment? What advice would you give them?
Find a mentor, find somebody to intern with. I know we were saying interning is a lot different nowadays. I
Mm-hmm.
pay all of my interns. Um, if you can't find somebody, to mentor under or an internship, I always say just find somebody that's going to take a chance on you and that is okay with you messing up a little bit. But just try to get as much experience as you can so you figure out what works, what doesn't, and what you actually like. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of aspects of PR I don't like. I don't want to plan
Mm-hmm.
an event for you. I'll get people there. I'm not planning it for you. That's not a strong set
Yeah.
of mine. I don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
your social media because I don't care. I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you what's wrong
Yeah.
with your social, but I don't want to post for you every day.
Yeah.
So I think figuring out what you actually want to do and just going into that, that'll really help.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look at the PR industry and you look at social media, how has it changed because of social media? Because now you have influencer marketing. You don't have so many different aspects of it now. How has it shifted the landscape in PR?
Yeah, everything is really shifting more to influencers and less media. And I mean, we're
Yeah.
seeing the journalism industry just completely be on its head. I'm
Mm-hmm.
having a hard time because these people that I've always worked with at some outlet don't work there anymore. They got laid off, or
Yeah.
maybe they're only doing things that are pay to play, which means you pay
Mm-hmm.
for it, or they only want things with affiliate links. So you're seeing a lot
Yeah.
of that because they're trying to make their money any way possible. Well, a lot of my clients don't have an affiliate link. Like,
Yeah.
that just, it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. So I'm having to shift how we pitch or messaging a lot, but then
Mm-hmm.
also figure out how can we incorporate influencers, but we might not have a budget for influencers. So how can we get influencers to advocate for us if we're not paying them thousands of dollars to post on
Yeah.
Instagram?
Yeah. Yeah. I knew it really was the landscape is going to start looking different. With the introduction of AI, how do you think AI is going to change it too?
I've had people come to me and it really made me mad. I've had multiple clients come to me and say, "Hey, I want PR, I want PR." I'm like, "Great.
Yeah.
Here's the rates, here's what I see for you." And they're like, I'm just gonna get ChatGPT to write an announcement for me and then I'll just figure it
Mm-hmm.
out. I'll send it around." And
Yeah.
I think there's a way that AI can really help us. Like, sometimes if I don't have a lot of time and none of my interns can help me at that moment, I'll get AI to draft something for me and then I go in and I edit it. But that saves me a ton of time. Or if I'm
Mm-hmm.
researching something, or I just need a little extra help in figuring out how can I phrase this. That really helps me. But I don't
Yeah.
think that we can fully rely on AI, at least not right now, to do PR for us. It's a tool, but you can't just bank on it to figure out things.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said it because I believe that's because we go to AI for everything. Chat GPT writes everything.
Yep.
Blog posts, news, all types of stuff. And so you're right. A lot of us would just be like, I'm gonna go with Chat GPT, have them. Because the one thing is this, you can have AI write the whatever, the PR pitch, whatever. But then it's like, but then there's a step that goes after that. Right.
Yeah,
Because it's like it can't distribute it for you too.
exactly.
It can't reach out to people for you. It can't make relationships for you. So there's still a human aspect that's needed. And I think the introduction of AI is really pulling away from the humanness of what we were used to doing and building relationships and having that connection, that one-on-one connection. It's really beginning to take that out of a lot of our industries.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and when I think about public relations, I'm like, I don't see it. I don't understand how it can do that. I don't see it doing that. I see it coming into the industry in terms of like maybe mass distribution, that
Hmm.
type of way, right? To press outlets. And like
Yeah,
you said, a lot of those outlets don't exist. Everything is online now. It's a
yeah.
digital magazine. It's a
A lot of
digital
those outlets are
newspaper.
going to be AI soon.
Yes. So it's just AI just talking to each other all over the
Yeah,
place.
that's why we need podcasts. That's why, like,
Exactly.
podcasts are the number one thing that my clients are asking for. And I'm like, I got
Yeah,
you because I want you to talk to a person. You can story tell so
exactly.
much easier this way.
Yeah, definitely. Now, if AI come in and say, "Hey, AI hosts episodes," then that's gonna be something because I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, "I'm not doing that." I'm not, I'm not talking to AI as a
No.
guest on my show. That'd just be so weird. But what are there any clients that you can share that you saw great success with when it comes to their PR?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because there's a lot of things that I really work on the back end of. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
name the client,
No, no,
but
no. No, no, no. Mm-hmm.
so I have a client and they're a medical aesthetic studio. They're not a med
Mm-hmm.
spa, they're a medical aesthetic studio.
Mm-hmm.
So your Botox, your fillers, your facials, all that
Yeah.
fun stuff. Um, but they brought me on to open some of their North Carolina studios, and they liked me enough that they've recently brought me back. And one thing I'm doing is helping them build out a toolkit for their all of their studios, so they don't necessarily need me holding their hand or another PR firm holding their hand. We
Mm-hmm.
can set them up for success in terms of community partnerships. And what does that look like? So, I'm helping them like figure out, how do we identify those people? How do we reach out to them? What's the email look like? What's the event look
Yeah.
like? What are some best practices? So that's been really fun for me because it's a little bit of the secret sauce, and teaching these people how to kind of do their own community relations, partnerships,
Yeah.
PR in their communities for their studios. And they're not usually someone that would actually do that. So even just a first couple of activations that we've done, I
Mm-hmm.
see how empowered the studio managers are. I see how like the community is excited about it, and they're getting customers from it. So
That's
it's
cool.
really cool to see like some of my ideas empower
Yeah.
people and end up making the company money.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. That's awesome. What are you excited about when it comes to your PR for MJPR? What is it that you're looking forward to in the future that you can see for yourself?
Yeah, so I never see myself as having like a big firm. I've worked there. I don't want to do that. I never want my
Mm-hmm.
clients to feel lost. So I
Yeah.
really like what I'm doing. And I just kind of can see things maybe transitioning more into a me doing more consulting instead of the day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
pitching.
Yeah.
Me coming in and doing some of that higher level stuff instead of just writing a press release. Um,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I'm hoping things go, because I am doing a little bit of that now. And I'm like, people are paying me for my ideas. This is weird.
You're full of ideas. It's
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
That's evolution.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
what
like,
that
oh, is
is.
this what like important people do?
Oh my God, Melinda, this has been a really good interview. I'm really glad that you came on. I'm glad we got to talk about PR. It's something I've been wanting to talk about. So I was really glad when we were able to connect and get a chance to do this show. I was so excited. I was like, yes, finally. We get to talk about, something else. I interview a lot of coaches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People are coaches. But I'm like, I really want to get down to certain things that people can find useful,
Mhm.
and that people can have someone they can reach out to when it comes to certain aspects of business, because these are the things that they really need in order to really be successful. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. This was fun. This was fun for sure. All right, guys, listen, I am Shawnee Sanders. This is the Girl Techno Podcast, and I will talk to you next time.